Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Bookbind. My name is phoenixrokni. I am the author of The Fall of Magic, book one in the Masterscore series. In today's episode, we're going to discuss Valothas Ierathel. He is the Elder Knight and leader of, I should say, current leader of the Knights of the Phoenix, which is the elven order that we become familiar with in book one. We'll explore his role in the first novel and his connection to the elven order as a whole, and be talking about why it is that he's such a vital figure. So what makes Valothas stand out to me was his authority. He's a warrior who knows the cost of war, and that has affected him both deeply and personally. That weight as a whole has shaped him in a very spiritual way and also has impacted him and shaped him emotionally. As the Elder Knight of his order, he's not just a leader, he's also an elder of the elves. And he lived through the War of Strife and Sorrow. He knew the Auron elves before their demise, and he even fought beside Grindum Olrog, also known as Lord Grindum, before his descent into darkness. Now, he remembers the world as it was before the Dark Master started to make moves towards domination and control of Auro. And when readers first encounter Valothas, his presence is very commanding. He embodies the wisdom of a very long-lived elf, and I feel that came across quite well. He's also one who's carried many centuries of struggle and sacrifice. Aside from being leader of the Order of the Knights of the Phoenix, he serves as a mentor to Voli, our main character. He recognizes his hidden potential, and he's pushing him toward leadership, a destiny that Volier very much is refusing and resisting. Now, for years, he's guided the growing knight, Volier. He's grounded him in duty. He's reminded him of humility, something that you get to see early in the book, and he's preparing him for responsibility. What Volier doesn't know or realize, though, is that Valothas has always known his true identity. That secret is the sole reason he's pushed him so much harder than other people in the Order. Valothas embodies loyalty and honor and duty and sacrifice. These are many of the virtues of the noble tenets. Yet his very commitment to the virtues also drives him in combat and in his role as a leader. It also keeps him from ascending as many of the elves would be able to do. With the loss of his best friend, Vorthelos, to the darkness, he feels duty-bound to the elves until their heir comes to take the throne. His role as protector becomes his calling, and it also becomes a bit of a burden. Now, even when the series shifts to different characters in the books, and in later books, Valothas is going to still be there. He remains as a grounding presence. When we get to book two, we are jumping thousands of years into the future. It's characters like him who tether that story so that that vast passage of time feels close and tangible, and so that the reader doesn't feel as if they're displaced from where we were at in the first part of the story. Let's talk about a little bit of symbolism with the Knights of the Phoenix. Valothas leads the Knights of the Phoenix, an order born of divine origin. Long ago, Vorthelos Vathreyes formed it alongside Ioner, the first Phoenix. Now, unlike some of the other martial orders that exist in the world, this one carries both a celestial blessing and responsibility. What makes these knights unique is their bond with phoenixes and the ways in which they wield fire magic. So a knight cannot choose their phoenix. The phoenix chooses the knight. And it's not always the strongest warriors who are chosen. It's actually those who embody nobility, selflessness, and virtue, those who embody the noble tenets. Now, there was a time when the Order had many knights who had phoenixes as companions, but that time has been long gone, with many of those knights having died in the Great War. Valothas is bonded to Olinar and has held that bond longer than any living knight. His very life and choices are now inseparable from that fireborn connection. And that's something to think about as we move forward with the stories. Now, here's something subtle that I hid in book 1. When Valothas transitions into leading the Order of the Imperial Blade, more specifically when he forms it, another knight will be assuming the mantle as leader of the Knights of the Phoenix. But Olinar, his Phoenix, stays at his side in that new role. And this shows that Phoenixes remain with their chosen knight until death or until ascension. That bond is one that is lifelong, and it has lingering impact and effects on the spirit of the knight of which a Phoenix is bonded to. Animals in this world have a very large role to play. Their role is much more than just companion animal. In a lot of ways, they are very central characters themselves, as meaningful as any of the races of the people among the planet. I especially enjoyed writing about Valothas' Phoenix Olinar. Though unable to speak, Olinar is perceptive, often communicating through a presence and instinct. And I hope it leaves readers wondering about the silent dialogue between Knight and Phoenix. I absolutely love showing off Olinar's interaction with Angor and Siam, which are the two little companion animals of Voliere early in the story. You might notice in the book that I never use gender-specific terms to describe the Phoenixes, and that Phoenixes are neither male nor female. And this is because they're creatures born of flames, elemental beings born of the fire, and as such, well, they're just not referred to in that way. Another hidden fact is that in the epilogue of book 1, I had a completely different written version of that prior to my final revision. I completely rewrote the epilogue, giving it the viewpoint of Valothas Iarthal himself. It was the first look that readers get into his heart and his mind, and it was his viewpoint I chose to end the first book on, for he is the tether that to this period that will remain there in book 2 and beyond. For he is the tether to this period that remains stalwart in the next book of the series. And when readers return to see him in book 2, they'll realize that he's been changed by time and many trials. And I can't wait to show his journey and how that's going to unfold, because there's a lot of story left for him to tell, not only in the Master's Core series, but also once I complete this series and I go back and I do the series that revolves around the War of Strife and Sorrow. Now, Valothas is much more than a leader. He's a guide, a force of stability, and a figure who pushes our hero toward destiny. His presence shapes the course of Voliere's trajectory in the fall of magic and helps set the stage for what's to come. What are your thoughts on Valothas? How do you think the Elder Knight of the Phoenix will help shape the series moving forward? Do you have theories? I definitely would welcome you to share those in the comments. And I'd love to invite you all to our small but growing Discord community for all people that enjoy this fantasy world and like to keep up to date on everything going on with it. Next time in our Behind the Bookbind series, we'll explore one of my favorite characters, Kairos, the Nehrin scholar who serves at Avestan and the City of Light. Until then, may the light guide you, and I'll see you soon.